Hello all together. What you hear now in the background is the piece Spark I composed for my first ever review of a virtual instrument. I hope you are indulgent with me and my strong accent English, as I am from a part of Germany where we have a strong accent. What will we see and talk about in this video? I will show you the virtual guitar instrument Direct SG by SoundProps. How I used it, what are its strengths and weaknesses from my point of view, and compare it a little with other virtual guitars on the market that I know. You will see some details about my production process of the track and which other instruments I used. And in the end, you can listen to the piece in its entirety without talking, just showing the different lanes in my DAW. If it's the only thing you are looking for, feel free to jump to the last bookmark of the video. Okay, as you're still here and did not fast forward, let's start with the talking part. How has it come that I do this at all? You must know, I never intended to do reviews about virtual instruments on YouTube. My intention was to teach myself composition and music production. But sometimes destiny comes round the corner. That's what happened here. As a senior member of the forum VI Control, I opened a thread asking for reviews or just opinions about the instruments I found on SoundProps homepage. As there were not many answers and nothing you would call a review, I just remarked by the way, meant not really seriously, if someone gifted me their instruments, I would do the first ever review myself. As destiny goes, I mentioned it earlier, some weeks later SoundProps appeared at VI Control for the first time. They found my thread and asked me if I'd be interested in doing a review, starting with their newest release, the Direct SG. First I thought, why the hell do they want me to review their instrument, as I am still in my infancy concerning composition and music production. But they encouraged me to try. Perhaps I would discover new talents. There are only two conditions were to create a nice piece of music and to do an honest review. Well, if my music is nice, that's in the eye of the beholder, it's up to you. But they caught my ambition with one thing in particular. Why not trying to do my first YouTube video or at least a text review? I have never done that and I thought this would be an interesting experience. If I knew how exhausting especially the YouTube part would get. But in exchange, I would get the instrument for free. My bargain hunter heart was jumping. But to be clear, this is no marketing video. I don't receive any money by anyone to do this. It's just my pure and honest opinion you will get here. The only benefit I received was the library itself for free. Considering the time I've spent for the review, I could have been collecting bottles on the streets and earned more with it. Should I bore you with a groaner about learning and earning? Better not. And to be clear again, this is no comprehensive review about all virtual guitars on the market. It's just me, who's recently left his music nappies, going his first steps into composing, and doing a short review about how I've done a piece with that virtual guitar, contributing some thoughts about it. In my initial plans, I could have been ready for publishing my first musical extrusion in 1 or 2 years at the earliest. But now I've shortened that time significantly, as I really wanted to do this. So hey, here we are. Let's jump in and see if I strike your right nerve. Who is SoundProps? They're relatively new on the market. Not one of the bigger developers. just two people beginning a new project, just like I do. They are based in Spain, or more precisely, on the Canary Islands. Hola, ¿cómo estás? I googled for musical artists who come from these holiday islands, as I have never ever heard of one. But I must reconsider. The first that came up that got my attention was a raw hardcore punk band with breathtaking 195 listeners. But hey, no reason to laugh at them, as they've got 195 more than I had when I made this video. Their products? Until today, SoundProps only released electric guitars. But focusing on that kind of instruments, they cover a wide spectrum of guitar types. From Strat to Tele, from Les Paul over hollow body models to some more special types like the Jazzmaster, Jaguar or a Les Paul equipped with P90 pickups. You can find 13 different models spread into several packages. And at least the GUI and features of these instruments look very promising. The Direct SG. Their newest release is the Direct SG, the first single model not seized into a pack with others and therefore the cheapest way to get into their products. The list price is €59. But as you can see, there are sales going on from time to time, as when I made this video. What do you get for the price? You get a multi-sampled Kontakt library, which requires the full version of Kontakt, at least version 5.5. It's made of a well-known double-cut guitar with 2 humbucker pickups, a 3-way selector switch, 2 volume and 2 tone controls, chromatically sampled note by note. The sound quality is 24 bits at 44 kHz, just like most other comparable libraries. The GUI is utterly beautiful and usable, just like you can see in their walkthrough videos or in excerpts here just in a few minutes. There are plenty of features, like a fully customizable articulation matrix, with a neat amount of articulations from palm mutes over slides to harmonics, including pick and release noises and more. Different modes like solo or power chord mode, strum speed control, extended round robin system, up to 6 velocity layers, a 12-string emulation, 100 presets for Kontakt 6 and many more. Find a complete list on their homepage. Important to say is that it is only the clean DI signal recorded. There are no samples with amped or distorted signal, nor other effects on it. That's the reason why the package is relatively slim on your hard drive, as it's only 783 megabytes uncompressed. So it's completely up to you which sound you create with your personal choice of amp simulators and effects chains. That's how it sounds out of the box. Just like an electric guitar would sound without any amp or effect sounds. Some say this is negative. If the intention is to use it directly out of the box, they may be right. But most guitar players wouldn't give a damn about out-of-the-box sounds. It's because it is just one of the fun parts to experiment with amps and effects to get your very own signature sound. And that's why in my opinion it's okay to just get clean sounds, as I own a pretty well guitar amp simulator. Guitar Rig 6 Pro by Native Instruments, one of the more powerful solutions to treat guitars on the market. Also part of the popular Complete 13 package. You will hear and see it in action later. There are many other tools on the market, also some free ones, so you should be able to find something to work with. But especially for beginners or people on a tight budget or timeline, I agree that it would be helpful if SoundProps integrated some optional standard rock or metal sounds, which would make their products more usable out of the box. just like Native Instruments does it with its session guitarists, Orange Tree with their Evolution series, or Chocolate Audio with its Uproar Raw. But what's part of the truth is, across the board, they all are significantly more expensive or specialized, and have a much larger footprint on your hard drive. In conclusion, I can totally understand both approaches, and I am happy with both. The fact that you get only clean samples puts the treated demos you can listen to on SoundProps homepage into perspective. Especially the harder fraction of guitar fans could be disappointed by the amped and distorted demos found there. But hey, I can totally appease us metal fans out there. As soon as I clutter up the insert effect area with a decent amp simulator and or some effects, all hell breaks loose. Rammstein or Metallica sound? No problem. I'll show you now some example presets I found in Guitar Rig 6 Pro, which fit really well and make you able to create a professional sounding guitar in seconds, using just these clean samples by SoundProps. Of course, you could take hours to refine them even more. Now some solo sounds. Of course, there's a lot more, but as this is not a demo of Guitar Rig, let's get back to DirectSG. Isn't that a beauty? I mean, in the physical world, the SG type is not my favorite type of guitar. But in that red color, I cannot refuse some kind of sympathy to it. And the sound did furthermore. But hold on. As you can see in the main window, you have total control over the two humbucker pickups. In the options on the left side, you can switch legato, extended round robin, and the 12-string emulation on-off. Next comes the FX panel, where you can determine the amount of the built-in effects with the mod wheel, which are vibrato, harmonics, and feedback morphing. In the middle you have the articulation panel, where you can either define 1, 2, or 3 articulations that could be triggered by a certain velocity level you can define freely. Here you can see the basic list that's offered. Some people may argue that there should be more, but given the price range where we are, it covers most demands. If you're not just after emulating guitar gods like Steve Vai, James Hetfield, John Petrucci, Slash or Devin Townsend. But there are of course products on the market with more. Some offer at least 30 different articulations. Here are some of these using my present preset in Guitar Rig. The mode panel lets you control the different modes. The solo mode for playing exposed solo lines. The chord recognition mode, just to recognize different chords. Then the direct chords mode, to play chords with one key directly. And of course the power chord mode. The strumming keys in red, strum down, or yellow, strum up, are down here, on the right or on the left side. They repeat in solo mode the last note played, or in chord recognition mode the last detected chord. On the right side you can tweak the volume of each articulation and their dynamics. Last but not least, you have the possibility to control pitch bends and micro bendings to create more expressive sound and character to it. Some of the mentioned controls can be assigned to MIDI CC. Just right-click on them. Here, or here, or here. Now I show you some actual extracts of my composition, where some of the features are in action. I required only a basic set, as an over-the-top solo or similar just didn't fit into that composition. The reverb I used is the popular Blackhole by Eventide. But please keep in mind that all you hear is not mixed and mastered. No EQ is disposed, only guitar rig and Blackhole. So the sound is not as polished as you would expect of a final product. When I'm done with that, which is still a lot to do, I will upload it separately. So if you are subscribed to the channel, you will receive an update message as soon as I've uploaded it. Here are the nice power chords. First in solo mode. Okay, that's enough. Probably you have heard the articulation change by velocity level. You can see it again when we now play it with full music. Now let's move to the next power chord, where you can better see the articulation change by velocity level. And again with full music turned on. And the lovely solo sound. And again with full music turned on. Here. You get the idea. Now some details about my composition and production. I started from scratch with a search for inspiring guitar sounds, just playing around with Direct SG and different presets in Guitar Rig. In this case, tinkering with it for the right sound for weeks wasn't necessary, as I found what I searched really quickly. First result was the backbone of the whole song, the arpeggio you can hear nearly the whole time in different variations, just like before. And 2 other presets ready for dedicated metal style rhythm and solo guitar. Then I added Abbey wrote Modern Drummer by Native Instruments and formed a basic accompaniment from scratch to keep everything in timing and build a foundation for all the rest to come. Next I started the bass line with Scarbee Rickenbacker bass, also from Native Instruments. I spent quite some time refining bass and drums to fit well together, as I'm originally neither a bassist nor a drummer. Now I needed more bite, so I inserted the power chords at the designated positions. The song began to grow and took length. The guitar solo line, as the counterpart of the arpeggio, came up nearly by itself. All guitar parts were only played with direct SG. Somewhere in the middle of the process, I felt the evil inside me come up, resulting in the need of a down-tuned guitar, which direct SG lacks. I tried to achieve it with the built-in tuning feature of Contact, but in the end I succeeded in standard tuning. The too evil side lost this time, but will eventually come back in the future. There we are at my biggest point for a feature wishlist. Getting drop tunings, or open tunings, like OpenC, for all their guitars. Also on my list would be a 7 or 8 string guitar, again in drop C, as you then have a low G to complete the fifth. A huge benefit in versatility. Everyone who is in need of a lower guitar, I can recommend Uproar Raw by Chocolate Audio, a multi-sampled baritone guitar which I also own. It's a nice companion for the low end, but with a much less eye-pleasing interface. But what it does really good, it sounds truly evil. At that state, the raw arrangement of the music was there. I packed some female vocals on top to increase emotion. For these, I chose Ethera Gold by Zero G. Lovely. Then, after making both bassline and drums more powerful, complex and ear-catching, I just wanted to insert my special ingredients I like to have in my music. Exotic and not so common instruments that give it a different kind of taste. In that case, I decided to use a big pipe organ, here the great Rieger organ by VSL, a breathtakingly well-sampled instrument, to embrace the piece. Before I play the piece in its entirety, I now come to a conclusion. When I got Direct SG by SoundProps, I had quite high expectations. With this product, I wanted to compose a complete piece in a quality standard suitable for my first album I plan to release in the future. All main guitars should have consisted of that library. And I can say, mission accomplished. I had a great time doing the composition. Direct SG let me do what I wanted it to do, without bigger hassle besides the common issues you have when starting with a new product. Whenever I lost track, a short look into the 7-page user guide brought me back on. Of course, I have not used more than a fraction of its possibilities, as you probably already recognized. Spark is not the most complex piece of music you may have heard in your lifetime. At least in this composition process, one thing led nearly naturally into the next. I had no specific riff in mind that had to get a song built around it. But as you should have noticed, if that is the outcome by only scratching the surface of the library, what should be possible if an accomplished composer or producer is let go on it? Or me, myself and I, when I'm better educated in the future? The well-known rule of the VI world comes to mind. Not the newest fancy gear or library makes you a better composer. It's the skills of the composer that determine how well a piece evolves. Speaking for myself, I can say that DirectSG by SoundProps was easy and convenient to use while composing these more than 7 minutes of guitar music. Pure fun, and it surely gets a respectful space in my future guitar toolbox. It would have been a short and cheap buy for me just to use it directly and not earning it by doing such a time-consuming review, which took me so much longer than planned. But I always searched a way to give something back to the great community that helped me so much over the last years with all their knowledge. So if this helps just 1 or 2 newbies like I was not long ago, I am more than happy. Okay, back on track. Sorry for my sentimental digression, but I simply like the musician community. I didn't expect to find so many helpful people out there. I also compared the sound to some other guitar libraries and what I was able to achieve with my real guitars, my modeling amp and a multi-effect floorboard. I own 3 types of guitars, a Dreadnought acoustic, a semi-hollow and a Les Paul style. Sorry, no SG type yet. As I'm only a hobbyist concerning guitar playing, I was directly amazed by the capabilities I had with DirectSG in combination with Guitar Rig sound-wise. I am not able to create better sounds with my middle-class amp and multi-effect devices. Probably a real pro with corresponding gear can do better, or if you spend hours and hours with recording and tweaking. But for my purposes, it is more than enough to bridge the gap until I am able to play better the real thing and save much time until then. Maybe I will never be capable. Compared with Native Instruments, Orange Tree, Chocolate Audio or Ample Sound, I would say they are mostly at eye level. The others had with their built-in amplified sounds, Native Instruments delivers riffs and loops, Orange Tree has a little better sound overall, and Chocolate Audio has a more average interface and a different purpose. So if you are a beginner or intermediate and in search of a decent guitar and want to develop your own sound using one of the amp sims on the market, try that one. You can cover much ground with it. The double expensive ones aren't double as good. If you then feel the need for more, complete your collection with more specialized products. If you like an already developed sound out of the box, better look elsewhere. But if you already own an effect suite like Guitar Rig, Amplitube or ToneLib GFX, there's a relatively cheap alternative to start with the integrated presets. So the pros are realistic sound, great capabilities, especially given the price, a beautiful GUI, always a pleasure to open it, versatile in daily usage, tweakable to your needs. The cons are no alternative downtunings, maybe some more special articulations lacking, and missing out-of-the-box sound and need of a separate amp simulator. Where to buy? You can get the DirectSG directly on their homepage, see links below, or on Loot Audio for a list price of €59 or the corresponding price in US dollars or other currencies. Sales occur from time to time. And when do I finally play the piece and shut up? After some parting words, now. Maybe leave a like if you enjoyed what you saw and heard. Leave a comment if you have questions, requests, or like to express your feelings. And subscribe to the channel to be informed about my future addings. I hope to see you soon. Thank you all for watching, and now enjoy the whole composition.
Mm-hmm.